Good afternoon. Welcome. I can't actually see who's on at the moment, but I believe we've got a few attendees. So welcome to the briefing session on our Local Advisory Committee establishment for Canterbury. The attraction and engagement slide we'll just bring to now. So if we just go to full view, that would be lovely. I'll just quick introductions before we start. My name's Dave Stackhouse. I'm the District Manager / Commander for Canterbury. I also have on screen Craig Chalmers, who's the Community Risk Manager for Mid-South Canterbury, and Dean Harker, who's the Community Risk Manager for Canterbury District. And as you'll see as we go through this, the Local Advisory Committee spans across our two districts, which is Canterbury and Mid-South Canterbury, and encompasses the Canterbury civil defence boundary. So we just look at the attraction engagement slide there. There's a rough timeline of what we're looking at. Now, obviously, we're through to March. We've called for applications, and we're hoping to do a shortlisting through around the 3rd to the 11th of March. So I'm really hoping we get a lot of suitable candidates, a cross-section of the community, and some people who are really connected into the community to join us. Interviewing will be across the 9th to the 17th of April. And finally, we'll make recommendations to the Foreign Emergency Board for appointment onto our Local Advisory Committee, looking for around eight odd positions at this stage. Next slide, thanks. Obviously, our area, as I've just explained, covers the civil defence boundary. That's why it encompasses two foreign emergency districts, which is Canterbury and Mid-South Canterbury. So it's quite a large topographical area, covering quite a number of TAs, and spans obviously from north of Kaikoura down through to the Lake Tekapo and Mackenzie district. Next slide, please. Just the demographics. I'll just get my community risk managers to have a quick conversation on the demographics of our two districts and give a quick overview on that. You can see, as I've highlighted there, and you can see the slide, what we've put on there is the number of territorial authorities or councils that we encompass. One regional council, obviously, which is beneficial. And we've also included our incident types and some of our main geographic factors and demographics. Do you want to talk to any of that, Craig or Dean?
Yep, so in the Mid-South Canterbury, we've got 4 different TAs that we engage with, and a very diverse range of across a diverse district across where we are. Like, so we go up into the Mackenzie, totally different vegetation type from up there down to the coast. So yeah, it's very diverse. We're looking for diverse strategic thinkers in that space.
Yeah, and just in the Canterbury area as well, same as what Craig said, we've got a very large farming community. When we're looking up sort of the Culverton, Hamner area, we push right up to north of Kaikoura to Kekaringu. And we've also got some large population movement around the Selwyn area as well. I think the Selwyn district itself, I think it's either first or second most sort of highly populated area in New Zealand. And for youth, I think in those areas, the Selwyn district's actually got more youth per head of population than anywhere else in New Zealand. So that's some of the factors that we take in our community risk management team around that education for youth and children around fires and that as well. And we've got quite a high elderly population, so we do a lot around working with them to make sure that they're safe in their homes and the retirement villages and all that are safe, and have really good evacuation schemes in that as well. So yep.
There's quite a risk within our built environment as well, and both have 2 port. We have a port Canterbury have got a port and a diverse range of business as well. So.
Okay, if we just, the next two slides, or three slides, we'll just quickly go through. Oh no, we've skipped them, so that's fine. Just a quick overview of where we are in our timelines today. So basically the local advisory committees were formed and authorised under our Foreign Emergency Act 2017, and that sits under section 14, and their powers and what we're asking them to do sits in their appointments, sits in sections 15 to 20. You can see there that the timeline for our establishment and shortlistings I've covered here is self-explanatory, so I'll give you a couple of minutes just to have a look at that. But ultimately, we're on a reasonably tight time schedule, and we're looking to go through on those times as soon as we can. Okay, factors determining the approach there. So I guess, as I pointed out, we're not asking our local advisories to really delve into operational matters. What we're trying to get them to do is be a networker for us into the community, so that reach out to stakeholders that we may not have access to, or identify elements of risk and need in local communities that we actually haven't actually identified. And I guess that's the connecting factor that we're really after. And for me, as the district manager commander, it's really essential that I understand that risk, and Dean and Craig as well, so we can transport that into our priorities in our district plan, which is, I would see that you having a key input into that as we review it. So it's all about us aligning and ensuring that we understand our patch and our risks, and I guess the complexity of our community, as you can see there. And really, it's a key element of community connection for us, just an extension. So if we can get our local advisory committee achieving that for us, it's going to be value add for everyone, really. Thanks very much. Next slide. And that's just a sort of a further extension of it, of what I've just covered. Okay, I guess, as I said there, we need your knowledge and experience, and the Canterbury LAC will certainly shape and improve our ability to connect into the communities. I think it's also will assist us to network with our stakeholder partners if we're missing vital elements that they're raising. The local advisory committee can also help me as a conduit to the board through the chain of command as well. So I think it's a really good two-way partnership for us going forward. You got anything on that, Craig or Dean?
Yeah, it's important also to recognise the fact the stuff that we do well that we could expand on as well. Dean?
Yeah, probably mine on there. Yeah, as we've spoken about previously about such a vast areas, looking at doing a lot of sort of like community risk profiling at the moment, is having a look at individual communities within the Canterbury district and seeing what we can do to sort of nullify some of those risks. And as Dave said, working with the stakeholders in those areas. So it's really, really important thing to us, and finding out sort of within those communities what they hold valuable to themselves. We've spoken to some of our rural communities around that, is, if there's one or two buildings in some of those remote areas that had to be saved or have got cultural significance, that's the sort of stuff that we need to know. So our firefighters know that if we're getting into those areas, and, if there's something that we can do to actually help prevent those significant places or properties from getting burnt, is really, really important to us, and who our vulnerable people are within our communities. So what we can do to make sure that we nullify the risk to them in case of a fire or any other emergency.
Excellent, thanks, Dean. So here's a few parameters on this slide here, really just covers it. So as I mentioned, the geographic area is rather large. So it will obviously be an interesting one, looking at the connection of local advisory committee, and that's something that will be a challenge for both Rob as the Mid-South Canterbury District Manager and myself to make sure that we're getting the right connection factor there that suits both of those districts within that boundary. But all of the LACs were geographically aligned to the civil defence boundaries, which does provide some good synergies for emergency management. I guess we're looking, as I said, for about 5 to 8 people, and there will be a chair and deputy chair elected within that group. So obviously that needs good leadership and good strategic thinking in those positions and good connection, really. Members will be appointed for up to 3 years and can be reappointed for further terms if they put themselves forward for that and suitable. There are regulations, and as I've pointed out, if you have a look at the Foreign Emergency Act 2017, you'll see under the Section 14 onwards, that covers the local advisory committees, and there are regulation that sits with that on how they work. I think I'm not over the actual fees and compensation that's offered to local advisory members, but as we get into that, we can, with our people that we bring forward, we'll actually cover that in more detail. I guess who are we seeking? As I've said, we're after well-connected and respected people that can reach out and enlarge our networks. We've already got good stakeholder relations, but I'm looking for, and I know Rob will be looking for a further expansion there. Connection into the hard-to-connect communities will be useful. We have a lot of diversity, especially in our farming communities, dairying and that. Getting into some of those cultural groups, I'd be really pleased to see if we can open the door to some of those risk areas. Obviously, integrity is a big thing. Foreign Emergency is one of the most trusted organisations. We're very proud of that, very proud of our uniform and what it stands for. So we're looking for anyone in the local advisory committee to be accepted and be part of that culture and enhance it, really. So obviously we've talked about strategic thinking, what we want to achieve in our districts ultimately, and through our strategies and our local planning, identifying risks and how you can enhance and sense check that for us. We can get a bit organisational blind from time to time. It's really good to keep our lens wide and listen to other viewpoints. So I really think the local advisory committee can assist with that capability. We really need people who can be very collaborative, offer different perspectives and viewpoints, and be happy for a robust conversation, because I'm always up for that, and I know Rob is as well. And obviously commitment. We're asking for a 3-year commitment, which the type of people we're looking for are obviously busy and have a lot going on in their own lives, but we're happy to support that as best we can. So you two gentlemen want to add any value to that?
The well-connected and respected parts, one of the reasons it's at the top there is because it's important, because we've got such a large, diverse area to cover, and only 8 people on this committee. The connections that you have and the diverse range of people you can touch is important, so that we can get a good view of the world, or our districts.
Yeah, and I'll just probably on from that is, you may know of some risks that we haven't seen or what we've overlooked. So it's really, really important to us, so that we've got a really good mix of, I think myself, sort of like gender and diversity within the LAC itself. We've got a lot of new immigrants coming into Canterbury, both in Mid-South and Canterbury as well. So how we can connect there, also with our local iwi, how we can assist and connect better in there, and as I said, try and nullify the risks across the community to make everyone safer.
Also, another point to reiterate is the fact that it's not about how many fire trucks and how many firefighters and what gear we've got on it. It's that strategic thinking about the risks that we've got, so that you can feed that into us, and we can then either change or adapt or whatever it might be to address that risk.
Thanks, Craig. I guess we'll just go to the what now, which is probably the next slide. So some of the thinking is attending initial 2-day induction. Obviously, could be an informative session there from our other LAC partners who see how those committees are going, and there'll be a well-constructed 2-day session there, so that puts you right in the picture of what we're asking, what our parameters are, and what our legislative requirements are around achieving what we want to achieve there. Looking at creating a plan with our local communities of interest, as I said there, supported by myself and Rob Hands, as well as our 2 CRMs in the main, and any other staff we think can add value to that. As I said, regularly discussing and agreeing and providing advice to us is really important. So engaging in meetings to achieve that. So, there'll be, once we get the committee authorised and appointed, then we can look at the schedule of meetings really, and it suits all parties of the local advisory committee. Okay, next slide. What we know about the risk now, the slide really covers what many of you already know in Canterbury, but that's what we're looking for across the board. These are the considerations that you'll see in our district plans. As I said, we've analysed our risk, we've analysed a lot of the economic and social factors, environmental factors, and our main risks that we plan for, but what we're looking for is what have we missed, and what locally can you add value to around some of those central risk profiles that we have in our district plans currently. I guess that's just the slide here is, if you've listened to this and you think that you might know someone else who's interested, you could be a recruiter. Feel free to go out and spread the word. As I said, the timeline there is tight, but we're really encouraging a wider range of applicants for the role. And finally, I'll just go through the quick application process if you've missed that. So, as I said, applications are open currently and will close on the 2nd of March. Shortlisting will be done from the 9th to the 17th of April. And hopefully committee members will be appointed late June and early July if the timeline's maintained. And we'll be able to start our constructive work thereafter. So that's pretty much our timeline that we've set. Ambitious, but I'm really excited about it and hoping that we get a really good team to work with. Any other final comments, gentlemen?
Oh yeah, just looking forward for the committee getting off the ground and working with those that are successful in their applications to sort of make the Canterbury district a bit more resilient and a bit safer. We've got been doing a lot of work recently on AF8 with our local councils and CDM groups, so we're heavily involved in that. Also the flooding and climate change with dry weather, with some of the wildfires that we've had in the area. So the more voices that we've got to probably let us know what's happening out in the community and some of those concerns from local residents will be really really good for us moving forward. So yep.
Yeah, as Dave says, it's rather exciting having this happen. We're one of the last ones to be established, and it's other LACs across the country are going well, so we want to be able to provide the same support to our communities through that. So yeah, very exciting.
Thank you, gents. Nicola, have we got any questions that have come through? All right, we're happy. Oh, I'll just round off. Thank you for your time. Feel free to contact Foreign Emergency if you've got any further questions, or myself directly, or Rob Hands down in Mid-South Canterbury. We're happy to answer any questions. I look forward to establishing our local advisory committee. Thank you.